Okay, recording.
I'm Senator Bernie Sanders. This is Barbara Kennelly with the Citizens to Protect Medicare and Preserve Social Security and Medicare. We just had a meeting with 3 or 4 members of the Senate, Sheldon Whitehouse, Jan Schakowsky, Lynn Woolsey, who are in the House, to make a very simple point and to bring people together. And that is, yes, the deficit is a serious issue. Yes, we have got to move toward a balanced budget, but we are not going to do it on the backs of the middle class and working families of this country. There are fair ways to move toward a balanced budget. What the Bowles-Simpson proposal was about is not fair. Furthermore, Social Security has not contributed 1 nickel to our national debt or to the deficit. So the idea that you should slash Social Security makes 0 sense at all. I would point out that in the last 25 years, 80% of all new income created in this country went to the top 1%. And the 1% in our country today earns about 23.5% of all income, while the middle class has collapsed. So to my mind, to ask the middle class and working families to take cuts or to pay more in taxes makes not a whole lot of sense at all. Furthermore, since 1997, we have seen almost a tripling in our military budget, almost a tripling. I don't think there are many people who would disagree that we can make some significant cuts in our defense system, doing away with a number of weapon systems that are based on fighting the Cold War, which is no longer relevant. Bottom line is there are ways that we can move toward a balanced budget which are fair, which are not on the backs of working people or some of the most vulnerable people, and certainly which do not cut Social Security. Barbara, do you want to say a few words?
I just want to thank you, Senator, for bringing us together. We're not just talking. I have 3 million members and supporters across the country. We've had focus groups, we've had polls. I hear from them all the time. I write to them all the time. I almost think they can't believe that the members of the House and Senate would cut Social Security. I think that they have other problems. They're worried about the debt. But I don't think they believe this could really happen. And I got to tell you, we got to figure out how to make sure they know it could happen. We need more Bernie Sanders around here.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Any questions? Sure.
There have been a number of proposals put
forward.
So
you are from where?
Lucia Graves with the Huffington Post. Hi. A number of proposals have been put forward. Alice Rivlin announced one yesterday. Rep. Jan Schakowsky has come out with her own proposal. Have you had a chance to review any of those other
Well, I've seen Jan Schakowsky, and Jan was here. And I think Jan is moving in exactly the right direction. Number one, just give you some examples. The idea that any honest person would be talking about deficit reduction and at the same time fighting to give $700 billion more in tax breaks over the next 10 years to the top 2%, that's totally hypocritical. So obviously you can't do that. Every single year, there are estimates that we're losing $100 billion a year because corporations and the wealthiest people in this country are stashing their money in tax havens in the Cayman Islands and in Bermuda. This year alone, based on $19 billion in profits last year, ExxonMobil, the most profitable corporation in America, did not pay 1 nickel in taxes. In fact, they got a $156 million refund. In 2005, 1/4 of large corporations paid nothing in taxes. Warren Buffett often makes the point that he, one of the richest people in the world, has an effective tax rate less than his secretary. In fact, the richest people in this country, in many ways, pay an effective tax rate less than teachers and firemen. Within all of that context, it is very clear that we can raise substantial sums of money from the wealthiest people in this country who have avoided paying their fair share of taxes. Second of all, just to repeat, Jan Schakowsky makes this point. We are spending a lot. We have almost tripled our military budget since 1997. Very few people think we cannot safely, without compromising our defense capabilities, that we cannot safely make significant cuts in military spending. The bottom line is, I think Jan is coming from the right place. I mean, there may be a little disagreement here or there. Among the groups that we met with today, 3 or 4 different groups are working on separate proposals. But the important point is now to mobilize ordinary people, working people, to stand up and say, sorry, I didn't cause 2 wars that were unpaid for. I didn't cause the Wall Street bailout. I didn't cause tax breaks for the rich. Don't blame me. Don't balance the budget on my backs. That's the message that has got to go out. I think the vast majority of the American people agree with what we're trying to do in that room. And that's the fight we've got to take to the people, and I think we're going to win this fight. Yes, sir.
Yeah, taking
You are, I'm sorry.
Sean Conley, Congressional Quarterly.
Yeah.
Taking Social Security out of the entire deficit question and debt in the future, what about proposals to make it solvent?
Sure.
What do you see there?
Well, I think Social Security is a huge issue. I think it has nothing to do with deficit reduction issue. And I think the attacks on Social Security are simply ideological from the same people who decade after decade after decade have either been trying to privatize Social Security or cut back on its benefits. So I think you want to take a look at Social Security, and this is what you see, and let's be clear about it. When you look at Social Security, first thing you say, if you're going to be honest, is Social Security has not added 1 nickel to the deficit. It has a $2.6 trillion surplus. That's good news. Second point is, Social Security can pay out every benefit owed to every eligible American for the next 29 years. So if you want to discuss Social Security, then what's the debate you're having? You're saying, okay, in 29 years from now, Social Security, based on current conditions, current funding mechanisms, can only pay out about 80% of all benefits. Okay, how do we make it solvent for 75 years? That's the discussion that we have. Now, my own view is Barack Obama, running for president 2 years ago, basically made the right policy choice in his campaign. And he said that if you lift the cap, income cap, on all income of above $250,000 a year, you will bring in enough money to keep Social Security solvent for 60 or 70 years. But the issue of Social Security, as important as it is a separate issue, not tied to deficit reduction. Barbara, John?
Yeah, I was in Congress in 1983. I was on the Ways and Means Committee, and we addressed the whole situation of Social Security, where we really had a problem. Not like today, but really had a problem. And there's numerous people in this town who could look at the Social Security situation and deal with it in a correct and fair way. To put it in deficit reduction when there's a surplus. We put that payroll tax up because we knew the baby boom was coming. They've been paying into the fund for years, thinking they would get their Social Security. And we got to be fair about this. And I will be frank with you. All of you probably, or I could, name many people that could solve this problem. But to throw it in with the deficit is just unfair.
Barbara, you raised an interesting point. In '83, how many months would it have taken at that point before people would not be able to get their full checks?
A matter of months.
All right.
A matter of months.
Here is the point. This is the point. In '83, there was a Social Security crisis. In a matter of months, people will not have gotten their full benefits. Right now, people will get their full benefits for the next 29 years. That is the difference. And we have some ideas as to how you can solve it beyond that.
And we don't want to look irresponsible that we don't understand that you could do it down the line. Absolutely could do it. And I think now's the time to do it, but not in this mix.
Okay, other questions?
What do you think of the fairly cautious response that Steny Hoyer and President Obama has made regarding the deficit co-chair's proposal?
I think the AFL-CIO's proposal was much more appropriate. This was an attack on working families. It's a proposal that should go nowhere. Okay, thanks very much.